such a pleasure having Ayesha Jhulka with us today. And I have to tell you, with all the, number of films that you've actually done, it's so lovely to see you on OTT right now. How is the feeling to be back?
Thank you so much, Pia. It just feels absolutely overwhelming. I'm very excited about it, and I think this is what I was waiting for. This is something, the kind of role, the kind of character, the kind of series, the platform, and the production, the producers, director, everything is like absolutely, it's fallen in place for me.
Right.
And I'm really lucky to be a part of it.
Talking about your journey, it's been such an illustrious one. Let's rewind, if that's okay with you. We
Yeah.
would want to know, you started your journey with Salman Khan in Qurban in 1991. He was such a big star at that time, coming out of Maine Pyar Kiya and all of that. Talk to us about it and how was that process? And if I'm not mistaken, you have Gautam Rajadaksh to thank in terms of getting your first break.
I'm so happy that you you practically know my journey pretty well, because most of the time when I'm asked questions, pretty much it's always half info. So yes, you're right. Gotham I really miss because he's not with us anymore, but he was very instrumental. Pandri Dada, the veteran makeup person, who's also not with us anymore. These two people were so instrumental in me being in the industry. And he had done my first photo shoot, which was also by fluke because I was on a holiday in Mumbai, and I was doing some other, like an ad kind of thing, which was just like because it was for a family, a very close family friend. And for Raymond's, I was working on this thing where they wanted young,
Right.
faces.
Fresh faces.
And Gotham was shooting that. Pandita was doing the makeup. And when they were doing this and when they were seeing me in front of the camera, I was very young. I was 15. And after the shoot, and constantly they would keep saying that, you need to do a shoot with me. He would keep saying that, you have to do this separately. I said, I'm on a holiday. I'm just doing this one bit because the equation is such that I couldn't say no, and I wanted to do it too. So he actually, convinced my parents that while you're on this holiday and you're in Mumbai, so please do one day
Right.
with me. And I still remember we went to his house, and it was Pandit Dada, me, Gautam, my folks. He had organized for the makeup. And if I rightly remember, Mickey did my hair or something, and Dada did my makeup. And so it was like for me, everybody was new. I didn't know who's who, basically. And I did that shoot, and I was absolutely whatever they were telling me, because I've never done something like this, and I was, at my playful self, and वो हो गया, खत्म हो गया, and I came back to Delhi. And after almost 4 months, I got a call, and Pandri Dada was there on the phone, and he said, Gautam has shown your pictures for this film that is being planned, Qurban with Salman, and they're looking for this thing, and your face is shortlisted for it, but you'll have to come to Mumbai for a screen test. For me, Salman Khan, and then that was the end of it. And I was after my parents that I have to go, and I will do this one film, and that's it. If I get it, I was not sure whether I'm going to get it or not. So then, of course, my parents gave in, and then I came with my mother for 2 days, and I went for the screen test. And when I went for the screen test, there were like so many girls there, and so I went in and I was kind of put off. I said, "Meri bari to nahi aayegi," because they were like really nice, beautiful, tall girls, and some must have worked a lot or some must have auditioned a lot. And I went in when my turn came, and so my mom was not allowed inside, and I went inside, and there was a small room where the director, producer, the co-producer, and a lot of team people was. So first I went in and I was like, nervous, and then they said, you have to speak a dialogue, and have you spoken a dialogue? And so I was like, I said, मैंने कुछ नहीं किया ये सब, but dance कर लूँगी, अगर आप dance बोलोगे तो मैं dance कर लूँगी. So you know how my dance would be. So they played some music and I started dancing in whatever way I could, and I still remember they just smiled and they said, okay, आप बाहर wait कीजिए. And I went out and I sat, and while I was telling my mother what was happening inside, one AD or somebody came and then they asked all the other girls to leave. And they said, आप wait कीजिए. So I was too sharp. I said, मुझे लगता है मुझे मिल गया है ये, सबको भेज दिया इन्होंने. So my mother said, just keep quiet. And yeah, in about 15 minutes or so, they said, you're on for the film. That's it. Wow. So it was, and I couldn't believe it. And I said, really? And yes, and then they, discussed a lot of other things and all that. And then we came back to Delhi, and then we were planning how for the shoot, and we'll go for the shoot and come back and all. While we were doing this and we went for the first schedule, we came to Bombay, I got my other film with Mehul Kumar, Meet Mere Man Ke. Right. Then I suddenly got Khiladi, and then I got Jo Jeeta. So there was absolutely no going back.
But coming out of Qurban, did you feel at all very resentful that perhaps you were asked to leave Narasimha at any point? Because you were just into the industry. I mean, you can't blame yourself. You were such a newbie at that time.
Yes, I was pretty put off with that thing. And more than anything, it hurt me because I had not even begun. And I was thrown out, and it was quite a controversy, quite a news that this newcomer, it was headlines everywhere. Ayesha Jhulka replaced and all that. So that hurt me a lot. But then I would give credit to my family, the support system I had from my parents, my sister, and the people around me, Pandri Dada, even Gautam. Everybody, came to my rescue, and the biggest rescue was the team of Qurban. And they said that wait till we come out and don't feel this, and so the cushioning, I got over it pretty fast, and so my journey began. And when the film released, Qurban, it was a box office hit, and everybody was talking about me. Right. And new girl here is this, because though I had signed other films, but then and Jo Jeeta Mansoor saw a song of Qurban and finalized me. So he went to the editing room and he saw, one song ka clip, and then he said, she's the girl. He told Nasirji, not even me directly, he was always a shy guy. And so I think it just had to be. It was meant to be.
Absolutely. And 1992 was completely your year. You had 2 back-to-back films, both blockbusters. Let's talk about Jo Jeeta Wohi Sikandar first. I mean, you played this girl who was into cars, were fixing cars, so to speak. We've never seen that before on celluloid. It is more about relationships and friendship and all of that. Talk to us about the shooting of that film.
That's like a dream, to be very honest. And I can never forget most of it, even though so many years have gone. It just seems like yesterday, because the film is so alive even today.
Very relatable.
Yeah, and it's so strange that, even when I travel abroad, in strangest of places, people recognize me with that film. So you just can't take Jo Jeeta out of your system at all, ever. Right. And from day one, when I went to meet Nasirji, I was called and I went to meet him in his office. I was so privileged to have met him and, spend that kind of time with him. And he was so sweet. It was so unlike what I thought about the industry and the people that, I used to hear about. Not met so many people in my life by then. Right. But he just asked me, do you want to have tea or coffee as a courtesy? And I said, yeah, I'll have tea. So my mother's just, she's like, shoo, we just come to such a big person's this thing. So he ordered for tea and he started smiling. I said, मैंने actually ना चाय इसलिए order किया ताकि मैं आपके साथ ज़्यादा time बैठ सकूँ, तो चाय पीती रहूँगी तो आपके साथ ज़्यादा time मिलेगा. So he started laughing. Then he called Mansoor, and then He went and saw that.
Right.
Actually, he came. I still remember he came. I was sitting here. Nasirji was here, and he came and he took a round. He went and he picked up the phone. He did something, and he just had one glimpse, and he went back without saying anything. It was just a smile and a hello. He went back to his cabin and he called Nasirji and said that I want to see your work. And then he went and saw Kurban's song and so that was the first thing that I can never forget. Jo Jeeta on set was so much of learning for me, at that young age, and yet a lot of fun. Because the thing is that at that time, I had that kid in me,
Right.
It was like, everything was like a picnic for me on every set actually. And it was like, because I used to enjoy working so much, meeting so many new people and trying to take the instructions from the director and trying to do my best in that. Mansoor was different. He was so, again, very clear with what he wanted. There were discussions, there was explaining of the character so well, and it was different. Everything was so lively. There was food coming from their house, and there was, it was a lot of apnapan and pranks from Amir, him running behind me, I running behind him. So it was like kids on set. Honestly, Mansoor was very clear with what he saw, whatever he had shot and whatever he saw, and he was not happy with, and he took certain decisions. He was very clear with that. And when we reshot it as an actor, I didn't feel anything because for me, I forgot that this was being reshot or, whatever was happening, because it was for me a fresh thing that I'm doing. Probably at the back of their minds, it could have been there, but it was never discussed. So for me, it was just doing
Absolutely.
my work.
And the cult song Pehla Nasha, who can forget that? And you doing it in high speed and then turning it into a slow-mo, it was beautiful.
Really, that was something very new for us. Ek to वैसे ही I was new, and then this which I've never seen. So I used to ask silly questions कि अगर high speed है तो हमारे lips भी high speed में खुलेंगे और बंद होंगे या कैसे होगा? But it was absolutely Mansoor and Farah who had conceived it, and it was beautiful. I think it was just they are very fresh still.
And 2 weeks later came Khiladi, where it was a complete different film, a different genre. We saw great chemistry between you and Akshay, and a thriller, so to speak. Talk to us about that, and to imagine that there were no distributors to actually buy those films, that film, and then for it to become such a monstrous success.
Again, I would give the credit to Abbas Mastan. Again, there was so much tuning, and they were like absolutely like a Rubik's Cube, where they knew exactly what they want, and they were so sure and convinced that what they are doing is the right thing. In fact, for us actors, why there was tuning between all of us is because we took it in fun. We thought everything was funny because it had that lighter part to it a lot. So for us, it was all fun, and we didn't even know what is going to get cut where and what is going to get joined where. And we were just, I still remember we were shooting for this Johnny Lever scene where, he had that so many kids and chota bacche and all. And it was in Dana Pani at Mud Island, and the whole night, Johnny Lever was at his best and entertaining all of us, and we were just laughing. And though it was a murder sequence happening and all of that, but everything, and again it was the producer Ratan Jain and the directors who were so sure, because we were, I think, too young to get into those, to even understand. At least I was. I mean, I couldn't understand what is. But yes, when the story was narrated, I could feel it's different. It's something else.
Right.
But to analyze the whole thing in earlier times, I think I was too young to do it, and I never used to put my brain to understanding that.
But in the 90s, would you get bound scripts? Were there dialogues written in advance, or how was it? Like, you used to get it, and you all used to do at least 2 to 3 shifts in a day.
Yeah, 3-4 shifts in a day. I very rarely remember getting a bound script. And I never even asked as an actor, to be very honest. So it was the narrations were something that used to happen. Either the writer would come and narrate or the director would come and narrate, and then, in that narration, they would like to convince you that your part is the best, and that was highlighted, and
Right.
so you have to decide at that point of time whether you want to do this or not. But like I said, the kids are too smart today. It was different then. It was a lovely time, no pressures, no, of course, people would say that, okay, the films that don't do well are always spoken about as mistakes. But nobody knows the formula of a hit film, even today. So you try to do to your best ability whatever you can do. You try and select at that point of time that you think that this is the right subject that I would want to do. And you do various films for various reasons. So Khiladi was, again, it was meant to be. And I still remember that is one film where we really went all out. We used to go to the theaters with mics and we used to ask people, did you see the film? Did you like it? Do you think, आप अंदर जा रहे हो पिक्चर देखने के लिए तो मर्डर कौन हो सकता है क्या होगा as artists we have done this outside theaters. So it was a different time, and we've actually gone and put posters. We've done so much campaigning ourselves because and then we used to actually go into the theater and watch the film along with the public to see सीटी कौन मार रहा है इतनी सीटियां पड़ी इतना ये हुआ. It was a different excitement and the teamwork was different. Things have changed. Everything is different today.
Do you remember the time when Mahadevan came with the knife?
People used to actually say, "Piche dekh, piche dekh." They used to actually scream at my character, "कि आप पीछे देखो, देखो पीछे खड़ा है." And I've heard that, and it was funny. And I remember, Yeti Galaxy and Gem had Kurban, Khiladi, and Jujita at the same time, and that was a lovely week for me.
It was a different era altogether, where we would actually line up outside theaters and watch
Black
films.
ticket lena and all that.
Absolutely. A lot was also spoken about your ethics in terms of, be it during Jeeta Wohi Sikandar climax, you got hot, yet you were there. For Khiladi, we've seen, during a song sequence, Akshay Kumar is drinking water and then throwing it up on you, on your face.
Yeah.
Did you at any point say, no, I'm not going to do this, or this is not done?
Well, I strongly believed then and I believe it now that if you take a project, you have to completely surrender yourself to your director, to your team, have faith in them, and just do what they're telling you to. Yes, when it comes to the don'ts, you must say those don'ts before you get onto the set or before you sign that project. Which I have. I have also had my restrictions that I would not like a certain kind of costume to wear. I would not be comfortable in doing certain scenes. I've also had those don'ts, but not after coming on set.
Right.
Once I decide to do a project with all the clarity, then I go all out and surrender myself, and I try and be punctual. I try and be the director's actor, and I don't like to throw tantrums unless I'm being troubled unnecessarily.
Right. Case in point, Prem Kaidi, where you were supposed to have an introduction scene in a bikini and you said no to that film.
Yes.
Did you at any point think or rethink that decision?
I felt bad that I had to say no, but then unfortunately my comfort zone was more important and I really wouldn't have been comfortable because that was a very big film for me to have lost also. And it was a very difficult decision to say no. I took a lot of time. They waited for a lot of days for me to, but unfortunately, time and again, when I thought that can I do this, the answer was always no. So I had to say no.
Right. You've also said no to Phool Aur Kaate and Roja, which made Madhu a huge star. But of course, you didn't have dates at that time, which you've rightly pointed out. Were you upset with that as well?
Yes, you do feel upset, not because the films have become hits and then you feel bad about it, but certain times you were stuck. Certain times you're really stuck, and when you're new, people don't adjust that easily, so it was always, but then later on, people start, now you can't have everything in life, So you have to be happy with what you got.
Right.
And I had to choose Jojita over the other films, so
So be it. I mean,
I couldn't help it.
that was also history.
Yeah, I
So-
could have taken all three. I wish I could have taken all three, but I couldn't.
Right. So, after 1992, the kind of success that you saw and the attention that you were getting from the industry and your fans, did you ever let that get to your head or get carried away with, with so much love that you were receiving?
Since you know so much about me, did you hear from anyone that I have troubled them or I have, thrown tantrums or anything?
No.
Because I honestly, like I said, times have changed. Back then I was just happy with the
Right.
success, and I was just happy in doing more work, and I just don't know how the time flew, and I didn't plan anything, I didn't even know I would reach there. So I was not expecting anything more. I mean, I already had so much more than my expectation.
Right.
So it just, my family kept me grounded.
Yeah.
Because again, ghar aake to ghar ki murgi dal barabar. So it was, again, you have to, so, but it's very important that you have people around you who can keep you grounded at that time. And my family was always with me, and that was a major thing that kept me grounded.
I can imagine. And also the fact that, you've done so many films with Akshay Kumar. Everybody was talking about your chemistry and they wanted to sign both of you. Talk to us about that, because y'all were a very super hit, successful pair on screen.
Yeah, and we did a lot of films together.
Five or
And
six.
about almost 5-6 films together. And I think it's very important to have a good chemistry with your co-star. It helps a lot to in terms of performance, in terms of the comfort even others have when, if there's friction or any kind of, somewhere you're not gelling with each other, or you're trying to catch hold of the other person's performance and trying to attract. A lot of times that happens too. And, but it didn't happen that way. And I've had good chemistry with most of my co-stars, but yes, with Akshay, it was the best. And I think I'm so happy the way he has, gone there and reached where he is today. It's because of his hard work. And probably we are the very few people who've seen that hard work.
Right.
We've seen him actually working so hard. And I think he deserves what he has. And I'm really happy for him.
Absolutely. And you've had Salman Khan as a co-star, Akshay, Mithun Chakravarti, Kamal Hassan, Govinda, Jackie Shroff, so many of them. But which is personally your favorite co-star? I know it's very difficult.
It's a very difficult answer. And but then again, if you really ask me, some of them are very senior.
Right.
And I was also like an absolute newcomer in front of them. So if you ask me who's the best, it's very difficult to answer that, because everybody is in their own way the best, in different ways, in different, with where the chemistry comes in and the equation we had. I think Akshay was the best, where I was being absolutely protected and helped and everything, where a little kid has come on this thing. There I had a very good chemistry with Govinda and with Mithunda. Jackie was another kind of a co-star who's still a good friend and a well-wisher.
Right.
And Salman, and he was always like a prankster, but he always had that little soft corner for me, and he would always appreciate
Right.
what. So there are various people in various corners. Amir is a learning experience for me. He would always be that, absolutely prim and proper guy for me, where I would feel that, so it's always been different with different people. You just can't say that this one was better than that one. Yeah, if somebody is absolutely a person where you don't have an equation at all with, then it's a different thing. But luckily I would do my work, we would have that. And also the films used to be shot for such a long time, and if you're doing 3, 4, 5 films with somebody, you're meeting them more often. Like with Govinda also, I did a couple of films. So everything, it's always like a give and take thing. And every good actor would want that give and take. And I think we should extend that. Whether it's, a man and a woman, or a woman and a woman, or a man and a man, I think we have to, for good work, extend ourselves.
Right. In 1997 came Chachi 420, even though you had a comparatively smaller role, but we absolutely loved it because you were this, girl next door who was just following Kamal Hassan everywhere. And at that point, did you ever feel that, because the role is smaller, that you should not take it up? Or were there any thoughts?
No. For me, I still remember I was sitting on the dinner table and I got a call, and somebody said, Mr. Kamal Hassan would like to speak to you. And for me, like, I've been an ardent fan of his too. I can't forget Sagar. I loved him in that film, and I said, really? And it was a direct call, and he explained the character, and I probably was not even listening, to be very honest. And I just kept saying yes, 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 and I just did the film because I wanted to work with him.
Right.
So like I said, there are various reasons for various films, and it didn't matter for me to even share the screen space with him. For even one scene would have been the best, but I had a whole song and I had so many more scenes, and
Yes.
it was a treat to work with him. And when I went to Chennai and I was looking for him, I didn't know that I'm going to see a woman there. I was expecting to see him, and then he comes and he says, I'm Kamal Hassan. And I said, oh, really? So where is the Kamal Hassan? And yes, after the pack up and after all, that was my first day, and I just went and met him, and then I was to shoot the next day. And then I actually saw him, because with me in my, scenes, he was
Right.
the way he was and not dressed as Chachi.
The 90s, everybody talks about, the actresses, so to speak, how they got along, there were cat fights and all of that. What was your relationship with your co-stars?
I don't know. I think it was hyped more than there was, Maybe we were also childish, and sometimes there would be small little things where there won't be cat fights, but there would be complaints to the director or the producer, that it could be, in that. But I really think it was blown out of proportion more than there was anything. And I don't know. I mean, I worked with. I still remember, Divya Bharti, I was very fond of, and she was very fond of me. And she used to always say, I'm in love with you. She used to be like, we used to be practically neighbors, and we used to connect often. And we did a film where we played sisters, Rang. And we were very close to each other in that way, though we wouldn't often meet, but there was a connect. And I did Waqt Hamara Hai with Sajid, and she would come on the set and she would say she has to do this film. And so then there was Mamta, with whom I worked, and in that same film.
Right.
I don't remember. I mean, see, why people are not talking about a Divya Bharti who did go out of her way, let me do Waqt Hamara Hai. She used to come on my set. I was shooting in Mahabaleshwar. She was there, and she would come on the set and she would give me her bindi to wear, and she would buy the same pair of shoe for me and for her. These are the things people don't know. And these are such beautiful friendships where, and when we were shooting for Rang, we had such a lovely chemistry. And I still remember I was almost the first few who got that news, and I was numbed and I just couldn't function. And when I was shooting, I was dubbing for Rang after a real long period. We just didn't have the energy or the guts to shoot. I just couldn't dub. I was just crying, and the dubbing was cancelled almost 3 times because I just couldn't dub. And both of us would come on screen together, and all the memories would come. And so 3 times the dubbing was cancelled and all of that. So people don't talk about the beautiful parts of, I mean, there was no connection, and it just became a connection. And so I don't think the cat fights are so important
as the love. Right. Very well said, actually. But you're one person who's seen a lot of highs and also your fair share of lows. How did you handle failure? Because there were few films that didn't do or perform well at the box office.
Well, like I always say, nobody, you, me, or the greatest filmmaker would know the formula of a successful film.
Right.
We all do our choosing or making or choosing of subjects or everything just by instinct or by whatever the feel good factor that you get at that point of time. So I was never disturbed with any of my failures, and I was never on cloud nine with my successes. I have tried to remain balanced as much as possible, and that's one reason why you if things are not going well in one way, you always find you have to be like water. You need to find a way through and think in the positive way. Otherwise, life is difficult at every point. Now, your failures cannot be, you can't be judged by your failures or your successes all the time. What are you? What is your potential? Otherwise, Hashish wouldn't have happened.
Yes.
Well,
it was wonderful talking to you, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.